Justin, I got a question for you. Leased options now. Besides Zillow, there's some folks that are actually trying going to PropStream and pulling some lists. Do you recommend any list from PropStream, like on lease options, or?
Yeah. Yeah, I totally recommend that you go get your failed listings in your local market,
Yeah.
at least in your local market.
That's what I figure.
Yep, and do this every 90 days, or do it like by zip code and do it bit by bit. Pull. In other words, pull a little bit of leads today, failed listings, and mail something to them. A yellow letter. Okay, does everybody know what I mean by a yellow letter?
Yeah.
Letter.hq, the website.
Well, you can buy yellow letters like that, but you can also just get a pad of paper that's a yellow notebook paper.
Yeah. Okay.
And you can write your note, okay, on a white piece of paper. Write it with a pen. Hey, I saw your property online. It was for sale. Now it's not. Is it sold already? Would love to talk about making an offer. Or you could even go further. Is this something you would consider leasing and then selling at your asking price? I'm a local person, whatever you want to say, however you want to say it. Just, you notice in that there's no address. There's nothing that personalizes it. It's basically a form letter I wrote with my own hand on a white piece of paper. Then I'm going to take what is it? Here it is. One of these. Okay. I'm going to rip all of the paper out of it. I'm going to go to a copy machine. I'm going to put my white copy that I just wrote on down on the glass so it'll copy that. That's what I want to make copies of. And I want to copy it onto this paper, okay? So I'm going to put the yellow paper in the paper feed. So when I print, I'm printing that same message, but now I'm printing it on yellow paper with lines. Yeah, but Justin, the handwriting didn't line up with the lines. Oh, okay. You got to just let it go. Let it go. It doesn't have to be perfect. It looks like when you're done, you wrote that note on 100 different pieces of yellow paper. It looks like you really literally wrote it with your own hand. What's even cooler is if you have a copier that you can print in color and you can do it in red ink, and then you can see the red ink on the yellow. That's even cooler. Okay, make sure you include your phone number because they will call it. Okay, so you're going to go there to PropStream. You're going to go, I'll share my screens real quick and we'll do a real quick tutorial on that. PropStream right here. Okay, I'm going to look up any address, any area. Let's say I want to do Kansas City, Missouri only. Okay, then I'm going to come over here to filters. They have a pre-selected filter already that is failed listings right here. I probably want to come down here and check in a few other things like on market. No. Listing MLS dates, maybe I want to put on here and go back 6 months. I want failed listings. It's kind of redundant. All right, so let's go back here see what happens. Okay, so you can see there's 639 failed listings in all of Kansas City for the last 6 months. Golly, isn't that a bunch? Isn't that a bunch? Seems like it. Okay.
Yeah.
Play around with the filters. In other words, dial into some zip codes, maybe don't do all of Kansas City, Missouri, maybe do your part of it. And then next month, do another part of it. And then the month after that, do another part of it so that you're not dropping 600. Like I had to make 650 yellow letters. You mean I had to actually literally address 650 envelopes? You know how much 650 envelopes cost? 650 copies? Yeah, we're talking about some decent money. You probably spend $150. Then you got to go get stamps. Okay, so don't do 650 at once. You can't handle 650. Trust me. Because when you drop these in the mail and they go to these houses, they're going to call you, and they're going to call you the day they got it. So if you mail all 650 today, they're all going to land where they're supposed to land at those addresses in the next 48 hours, 2 days. So that means today is Monday. That means Wednesday, your phone is going to explode because you just sent 650 direct marketing pieces to very highly niche down prospect addresses. Okay. Now, some people are like, well, why don't you just text those people? Well, because I would have to skip trace 650 of them, and that adds up. Okay. So there we go. 650 adds up.
Would you add like some links into it too, or no? Like list
No,
stacking? No.
no.
Okay.
As long as it was a failed listing that did not relist,
Yeah.
and it was within the last 6 months or so. Okay, that's all. As long as it's if it's back on the market, then that's a moot point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, um,
Thank you.
Would you
yeah, that's quick
would you
quick
do
crash course on failed.
would you do the failed listings for the entire state if skip tracing was not an issue for you?
Well, I wouldn't mind that, but it would need to be paced out still. Like I would need to have it, like because like for real, I couldn't like if we're doing a whole state. I mean, that was just Kansas City. Let's say a whole state would be maybe 5,000 listings. I don't know. I'm just taking a wild guess. Can you imagine 5,000 of those all dropping at the same time in some kind of a text blast, right? Like I don't know. It might be overwhelming, man. I would still want to pace it out like I do with the scrapes on Zillow, like maybe 150 or 200 a day or something like that. But yeah, the answer is yeah, it would be a great idea. It's just not anything I've really ever done because of the expenses involved, and it is a little bit of a laborious task to get the lists and to make sure you've got the right the numbers and then the scrubs and get it up. I've never done it. I've always been the yellow letter guy, like in my local market. And you guys have heard me say this for years. Some of you, every 90 days or so, sometimes every 6 months. I didn't do this quite through the pandemic, though. I'll be honest. But I'm back to it. I'm back to liking it again. So every 90 days or so, I get in there and I pull some failed listings. I'll only get like 100 or 150 or something usually, because I can manage that. Then I'll send them out, and then the phone will ring half a dozen times or 10 or 11 times, and then that's good. That's what I wanted it to do. It's predictable as hell. Okay, I don't ever send out okay, if you're only sending out a half a dozen or 10, okay, now you might not get any responses. But if you're sending out a decent amount, like 100 or 150, a couple hundred, not anything crazy like 2,000, but a couple hundred, you will get some responses. I had a guy that he never was a student, but he did like to come in and get a lot of free info from me. And he popped in on one free thing we were doing once, and he said, I tried that failed listings thing you were talking about with the yellow letters. He said, I couldn't believe it. He said, I sent out like 100. He said, my phone rang. He said, I had 14 people call me in one day. I'm like, yeah, I know. And you couldn't fucking talk to all of them, could you? He was like, no, I didn't. And I was like, see, so you fucking wasted it. Right? So, you got to pace, but the point is like he sent out a relatively small amount, and he's still, so you don't bury yourself in these leads, because these are important leads. These are the Glengarry leads. All right. No one knows what that means. All right. Anyway, sorry I go on so long about everything. You got any other questions about that stuff? So next time you get $150 and you've got a couple hours to burn, throw out a yellow letter campaign and see if you can prove me right or wrong. I think you'll be impressed.